Hey guys, it has been a long time. Yep, much too long. Well, if you've been paying attention, my last actual motovlog was a few months ago, and I had talked about moving into this nice new neighborhood. I also said that I would make some videos around all of the trials and tribulations of moving, selling my old house, buying the new house. It was a real nightmare. But we got moved into this neighborhood, got moved into a beautiful new house, and I thought that things had settled down. I made the little video about moving over here, and I thought that I would be able to get back into motovlogging. But the fates had other plans for me. In fact, the fates decided to keep kicking me in the nuts harder and harder. So, what do I mean by that? Well, again, if you haven't been paying attention, 5 weeks after I moved into this house, just probably a few weeks after my last actual motovlog where I rode around this neighborhood and showed you how beautiful it is, my father died. My dad passed away on November 25th, 2014, just a couple of days before Thanksgiving. I loved my dad with all my heart. His loss has impacted me in ways I really can't even begin to tell you. I'm 52 years old, and I lived with my dad all but about 40, or for 46 of those 52 years I lived with my dad. There was about a 6-year period where after I got married to Jeannie, we had our own condo, and even then it was, reasonably close to where Dad was. So, I saw him once or twice a week. Hell, if I had any problems, I'd call him, even if it's in the middle of the night, and he'd come rushing over to help me fix whatever issue I had. Plumbing, electrical, whatever. That's how my dad was. Anything and everything for family. He was a very loving man. I miss him so much. In fact, I'm choking up just talking about it. Anyway, I wanted to kind of get out and do a little vlog, ride around a little bit, kind of show you the area I live in. This road is called Heartwood Marsh Road, and it's kind of a crappy road in the sense that it's got a lot of traffic. The speed limit isn't very high, but yet the traffic likes to do 50, and so they get pissed with me whenever I'm even driving, because I don't want tickets. But anyway, yeah, it's a beautiful area up here. I'm going to drive around, show you a little bit of it, and maybe talk about a few things. Maybe break this video down into a couple of different parts. Beautiful area up here. I don't know if the fates are done kicking me in the nuts yet, but we'll see how things go. And at some point, I'm going to talk about the whole move, the death of my father, and all that. Anyway, stay tuned, guys. Moving. Okay, so somewhere back around July, end of July, beginning of August, Jeannie and I were looking on Realtor.com or Trulia or one of those stupid realtor websites, just for kicks and giggles, looking at it and trying to, see what was out there. And I found this house. It was on 6 acres of land. It was a $400,000 home. I'm thinking, hell, I can't afford anything like that. But I like the idea of a nice big home on a lot of property. Unfortunately, too many of the new developments, like the one I just moved into, the lots are not that big. The houses are kind of close together. I kind of like property. Property is where it's at, right? I mean, you can add on to a house over time if you've got the money, but if you don't have any property to expand onto, the only way you can build is up. So anyway, yeah, I mean, we went out and looked at the property on the bike, and just for kicks and giggles, I came home and I entered some of my information into a loan calculator thing for, I think it was Wells Fargo or whatever, and I got a little pop-up saying, yeah, somebody will get back to you in a few days. So I went out and, okay, I'm curious, so I checked with Quicken Loans. And literally, as I'm entering my information, I get a phone call from Quicken Loans. Talking to the guy, it seems like, oh, okay, yeah, well, you know, you can really qualify for a pretty decent mortgage. So it's like, great, okay. So they set me up with a realtor, and Jeannie and I actually went and looked at the house. When we rode the bike over to kind of glance at it, we couldn't get any closer than about 100 yards, about from where we're at to that house right over there. Yeah, that house over there. Anyway, when we got there and we actually got through the gate, went and looked at the house was in terrible condition. The roof was leaking, the insides were just crap, and it needed too much work. But that did not deter us. We started looking around, and we went ahead and allowed the realtor to list our property. Our house got an offer above what we were asking 4 days after I posted it. 4 days after I posted it, I had my house basically sold. Whoops, not here. All right, I think where it is. Anyway, yeah, so, how is that a bad thing? It was a bad thing, because we had just started looking at new houses to buy. We hadn't chosen one, and yet I had a closing to sell and get out of my house in 45 days. So I had 45 days to find a new house, which doesn't sound like it's that bad, right? Well, you know, I'm working every work day, and so the only time we really had to look at new homes was on the weekends. And that meant like I had like 4 weekends to find a brand new house, or a new house for us. And anyway, we looked around, found some things that we kind of liked, but you know, the properties were small, the houses were okay. Some of them we looked at, the houses were shit. They were, you know, had been lived in and trashed and foreclosed on. Anyway, we finally came over here to this place called Hunter's Run, and we really liked this one house that we finally actually were able to get. But to get it was a nightmare. The builder wanted $25,000 down, and we're telling them, hey, look, you know, I could put $5,000 as a deposit, you know, on the contract, but I can't put $25,000 down because all of my assets are tied up in the other house. My old house was, you know, getting close to being paid off. I refinanced it like 12 years ago, and took out a 15-year mortgage. So I was down to the short strokes on that one. And so I had some equity in it, right? And that's where all my assets were. I didn't have no $25,000 to put down on this house for the contract. You know, well, we're not even talking like down payment, you know, towards the house itself. I was gonna put $70,000 down out of the proceeds from the sale of my existing home, right? And anyway, they finally agreed to take just $5,000 to hold the house, you know, put it under contract for me, and got a closing date set of September 30th. And it's like, oh, okay, great, okay, everything's finally coming together. Well, so I thought. And then my buyer comes back and says, oh, sorry, but we've got to postpone 2 weeks. Okay. So we had to go back to the builder, tell them, hey, it's not my fault that I'm having to postpone the closing for 2 weeks. So can you please waive that $200 a day penalty for closing late? They finally did. Took a while. They finally did. Anyway, during all this time, there was a lot of hell. I mean, just back and forth with stuff, a lot of hell, a lot of stress. Me and my wife were working to clear out 26 years worth of stuff that had accumulated in the old house so that we could move when it came time. I probably threw away a third of what we had in that house. The attic was full. We had two sheds in the backyard that were full of stuff. I gave away stuff. Hell, I even gave away my boat just to get rid of it. I gave it to my brother-in-law, and he hauled it down to Miami. In fact, with the proceeds from the sale of the house, I finally paid it off, and I sent him the title. I didn't ask for a penny from him. In fact, the only thing I asked is that if he just turns around and fixes it and sells it, he gives me half of what he sells it for. That's the only thing. So he's got a good deal on that, I think. But anyway, yeah, I mean, Jeannie and I went through total hell. And I was working my ass off back and forth. And during this whole time, my dad was getting sicker and sicker. And I didn't notice it. I didn't notice that he was getting sicker. I thought that, you know, we were stressed out. And I thought that, you know, he was just kind of like doing his usual dad stuff and, you know, giving me a hard time about different things. You know, when I say dad, he would give me a hard time, he would frustrate me over some things because we wouldn't necessarily see eye to eye. We loved each other dearly. You know, I was all stressed out, so Pop was kind of like ticking me off a little bit on some things, right? So anyway, we finally got all the paperwork done. We got moved. I did my little vlog showing you guys my beautiful new neighborhood. Hell, I might even post some pictures in this vlog of the house we bought, the interior, you know, just so you can kind of see it. It's actually pretty nice. Anyway, Pop continued to get sicker. And, you know, when I finally noticed it was one night. I'm up about 12:30 in the morning. I hadn't gone to bed yet. And I hear Dad roaming around in his room upstairs. We'd given him 2 of the bedrooms upstairs all to himself. So he had a sitting room and a bedroom to do with whatever he wanted. And I hear him moving around up there, and that's kind of unusual. So I went upstairs. Oh, we were also going to have the VA put in one of those little chair lifts so he could get up and down the stairs easier. My dad was disabled. He was able to get up and down the stairs with some help, but you know, he was getting weak, and we knew it, and we knew he would eventually need the lift. So we were working on having that done too, right? So anyway, I hear Dad moving around upstairs, and I go upstairs and I go, Dad, what's going on? And he's sitting in his chair in his you know, TV room, and he's all dressed like he's going somewhere. And I'm like, Pop, what are you doing? And he's, oh, well, I've got an appointment at the doctor's at 2 o'clock, so I don't want to be late. When are we going to leave? And I'm like, what? I said, Pop, it's 12:30 in the morning. He goes, what? He goes, I go, yeah, Pop, look, it's dark outside. It's 12:30 in the morning. Come on, I'll help you get in bed. So I helped him get undressed. I helped him get in bed. But that was like the first clue to me that no, Pop wasn't just like trying to get attention. He wasn't just like being, you know, normal Pop, you know, yeah, kind of ragging me a little bit. There was something really wrong. And anyway, we got around to taking him to the doctors, and he had fluid on his lungs. They put him in the hospital to drain it, but that's another long story. Why they even put him in the hospital, I don't know. He was taking Coumadin, which is a blood thinner, and his blood was so thin that if they had done the procedure, he could have potentially bled out. And we kept telling him his Coumadin levels were too high, but they admitted him to the hospital to do the procedure anyway, then discharged him when they found out his Coumadin levels were too high and they couldn't do the procedure. Yeah, so yeah, anywho, yeah, longer story. You know, they told us at that time, hey, look, you know, we can drain the lungs. You know, eventually they did, but you know, he's only got a few days to a few weeks. And we're like, what? And they're like, yeah, the cancer has progressed. He's got a few days to a few weeks. And Pop had stopped eating. I mean, he really, I mean, he'd eat a little bit of like rice pudding or tapioca pudding or something, right? But that's it. He just like wasn't eating. And, you know, I kept telling him, hey, Pop, you know, you're going to starve to death before the cancer ever gets you. You got to start eating, you know, and I'm trying to prompt him into eating. But the only thing I managed to do was scare the hell out of him. Cause him to have nightmares about starving to death. So I feel like a real right asshole for that. But, I mean, you know, what do you do, right? I mean, you think you'll know what to do. You'll think you'll do the right things, but you don't always see it. You don't always know what the right thing to do is when you've got somebody dying right in front of you. You just don't fucking know. And you hope that you're making the right decisions. Pop did not want hospice, which was a big, big mistake. Hospice could have helped us so much. He didn't want hospice. But finally, we decided, okay, we're going to go against his wishes. We're going to bring hospice in. We've got to. So nurse comes out, evaluates him. I sign a bunch of papers, and we get hospice help, right? Dad died that night. It was a good thing that we did get hospice because, you know, by doing that, they didn't have to like call in the coroner, do an autopsy, and call in the police and all that kind of crap that they do when somebody dies at home. You know, it was all documented. Everything was there. The hospice nurse came back out that evening, a different one, the one that was on call, came back out that evening, checked Pop, pronounced him dead, and flushed all of his opiates down the toilet, all of his drugs, and called the mortuary to come pick up the body. Okay, so as Pop's dying, Pop had a really bad day that day. He had been doing pretty good, you know, I mean he's dying, but he had been doing pretty good. He knew people. We had family coming in and out of the house. My brothers had just come down with their families. Some of my nephews were on their way down. They hadn't made it yet. And Pop was really in bad shape that evening on the 25th. And Jeannie managed to get him calmed down. We cranked up his oxygen after calling hospice and them telling us what to do. Pop seemed to calm down. He was gasping for breath, but he finally settled down a little bit. My daughter was at work, and I needed to go pick her up, so I went to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom to take a dump. While I'm in the bathroom taking a dump, you know, Dad had settled down. Jeannie got him settled down. He seemed fine. He was breathing easy again. I go to the bathroom to take a dump. I'm getting ready to go pick up my daughter. And my sister-in-law bangs on the bathroom door. Robbie, come quick. I knew it. At that moment, I knew it. I knew that either things had gotten really bad and they needed me out there and I didn't really want to see it, or that he had died. And he had died. You know, I didn't rush going back out. I couldn't. I knew it was bad. I knew it was going to be something I didn't want to see. I didn't want to know. So I didn't rush getting back out of the bathroom. I came out of the bathroom. They told me he's gone. I went over to him. I looked at him, and I couldn't even cry. It wasn't relief. It wasn't relief like you hear people talk about. It was just, I was stunned. I was shocked. I couldn't cry. I couldn't really say anything, you know, and then when it finally did come, you know, the tears just would not stop. And then I had to go pick up my daughter. I mean, after he died at 10:10 on November 25th, 10:10 p.m., and I had to pick up my daughter at work at about 11:30. When I picked up my daughter at work, I had to tell her that her granddad had died. And I'm sorry, I'm getting choked up, so excuse me for a minute. Anyway, things have been hard. I see Pop's stuff all over the house. I see his clothes, his wallet, his glasses, and I just break down. When I go up to his bedrooms, we haven't even been able to go through his stuff and, you know, start packing it up yet, because I just can't do it. My wife and I were talking this morning about, you know, needing to pack up and give away his clothes to somebody that could use them, but I just can't. I love my dad so much. I lived with him all my life almost, and it's just so hard. I do want to thank those of you that, you know, sent condolences from my last little video where I announced that my dad had died. It was just a little scrolling text video. I don't know how many of you watched it. Oh, hey, well, totally changing subject, something a little happier and beautiful. Look at this. This is where I live. This is the area I live in. And who says there aren't hills in Florida? Yeah, this is gorgeous out here. So anyway, yeah, Dad's gone. It's been a little over 2 months now. We had him cremated. I drove his ashes up to Tuscaloosa. The fates still tried to kick me in the nuts again. On the trip up to Tuscaloosa, one of my tires developed a bubble and almost blew. Luckily, we made it up there, and that's another long story, which I won't go into now. But anyway, we're hoping things will settle down. It's the new year. We're in a brand new neighborhood, brand new house. Just trying to make do. People talk about when they lose somebody that it's like a hole, like a void in their life. I told Jeannie, I don't feel so much like there's a hole with Pop-Pop missing. I feel that there's a lack of presence, and it's different. There's a silence. I used to hear him in his room moving around, you know, him coughing or moving around or clearing his throat kind of thing. He used to be there, you know, and it's not that there's a hole where he used to be, it's just he's not there. The presence is gone, and it's so sad. He did not get a chance to enjoy this new house with us. He did not get a chance to enjoy. My wife and I are celebrating our 25th wedding anniversary next month. No, this month. It's February, isn't it? Yeah, this month we've been married 25 years as of the 24th. And we're not sure we're going to celebrate our 25th anniversary, and we're not sure we're going to celebrate. I think Dad would want us to. Dad loved to party. He just loved getting family together. That was his kind of thing, you know? So I don't know, maybe in honor of him, we will do something. Maybe have some family and friends over. I don't know. Anyway, take care, folks. You guys ride safe. I hope to see you soon. Bye.